and we welcome this baby in such a way. So it is said that a child already has about 50% of its personality inside of itself when it's born. And now we can say, from the spiritual viewpoint, we might speak about karma that the child takes into this world. But we can also speak about science, where they say that the genes, 50% of the personality is given through the genes. What we also find in Buddhist teachings, for example, where they tell us that we have to go in peace with our ancestors because we carry on what they started in this incarnation. So part of our book of life is where we come from, and this is what we bring into this world. So during the process of growing up, there is a need for each child to develop. So if we go back about 2,000 years, we know today that pregnancy was way longer than 9 months, way longer. So it is said that now babies are born to a certain degree premature. And so the first weeks of life are very, very important to adjust to their surrounding and to all what it is facing at the present moment. 60% of the energy of a baby, of a newborn baby, is in the metabolic system, is in the brain, so that it can adjust to this world. While in adults, like us, we have only about 20 to 25% still located in the brain, the rest is worked out. So, how the child can develop depends a lot on the surrounding that it is born in. So what do we have to develop? In the process of growing up, we develop first the physical body. It all starts with the physical body. When the infant is born, it cannot walk. It cannot speak. For all of this, a physical development is needed, and for this, energy is needed. This is why when you see a small baby, it is full of energy, isn't it? So till the age of 3, 4, 5, it's unbelievable how much energy these beings have. So this energy is used to establish everything in the physical body that's needed. The second body we have to develop is, in this physical body, when we develop the movement, we develop the muscles, we develop to a certain degree also the nervous system, so that it adjusts to the surrounding, to all of these noises and everything. So the baby can already in the mother's womb hear, but it cannot see. Seeing comes around the 3rd or 4th month of life. So different senses are still developed, so energy goes also there. Then also the brain, which is one of the most important tools for a human being to be different from any other kind. So when we look into what we are undergoing in this new age, we are just developing from the Homo sapiens into the so-called Homo deus. So the next body we have to develop is the emotional body. So when we speak about the emotional body, that includes the ability to control and regulate emotions. When a baby is born, it cannot regulate its emotions. It's not possible. It cannot do it. It needs the mother and the father to help them to regulate their emotions. On a longer run, the child starts to be able to handle certain emotions, but not all of them, and the guidance is needed for a very long time. This process of development of the emotional body goes on till end of life. We all are still in the process of developing our emotional body, but to a high degree, it is already established. So we have 2 choices to develop. The first is, the emotional body is closely connected to very refined emotions, which you might have heard about. It is connected with the ability to love, to nurture, to be generous, to give, all of these beautiful qualities that we hope we will find in the yogis, in the practice, and through the practice more and more developed. The next part is to develop a good self-esteem. What is a good self-esteem for? It is to be able to live in this world. This world which we are now in is a very criticizing world. It is a world of pros and contras. It is a world of right and wrong. Actually, humanity has decided to leave the middle path and go to either right or wrong, good or bad. So one of the very important parts for this new generation coming is to develop a strong, healthy self-esteem. Otherwise, we have to face a generation of depression. And just 2 days ago, I read an article that 70% of the teenagers between 13 and 17 are more concerned about their colleagues and mates having depression than about alcohol. So when we see that, we have to really make sure that the children can establish a good self-esteem through education. Be patient and develop inner calmness and awareness, have courage, passion, and the drive to move forward with life are all aspects of a refined emotional body. On the other hand, we have frustration, hate and anger, irritation, guilt, envy, and jealousy. The energy healers in this group may now see that there is a difference which energy center we are referring to. Is it? So one part is referring to the heart energy center. The other part is referring to the solar plexus energy center. While both have good and not so good qualities, the question what kind of qualities will develop is up to the education a child will receive. Then we have to develop a very important part in the holistic approach, which means that we have to look who actually is the one developing these bodies. Is it the child? And when we look a little bit more exact, we can figure out that it is society, it is parents, and it is teachers. Whatever the child absorbs in its surrounding is what it will develop. So there is no excuse for each and every one of us. Either we have children, if we are educators, or if we are just surrounded by grandchildren, or if you just walk on the street and there are other children around. We don't have an excuse to be a proper role model if we want to help this generation to develop a refined emotional body. We have one body left, which is the next one, the mental body. The mental body is the body in which the development of the mind happens, and that is connected to the development of willpower and thought power, the development of concentration, long concentration spans, but also one-pointedness, understanding, and a creative mind. All of these are qualities which are highly needed in this new age and this new century for children to have. In the same way as an emotional body, it is upon us to give the child methodologies and ideas on how to do that, because the servant mind of the child is the one who will follow what it sees. So for example, if you tell a child to put the shoes on the proper place, but you don't do it, the child will not do it. It's because the absorbent mind learns more from observation than from your words to speak, which can be sometimes showing something very different. So let's look into the physical body. How can education, how can our holistic approach help children to develop the physical body? By allowing them to move. That's one of the most important parts. In this society, we start to inhibit the movement of children by having them sit for hours and hours and hours. Have them do homework for hours and hours. So the time that they have for movement goes down. So the physical body may not fully be developed anymore. Let's take an example of fine skill hand movement. To properly write, you have to move your hand like this, isn't it? So what happens nowadays is because young children are dealing already with mobile devices, iPads, all kind of tablets, their movement mainly is this. Up and down, side, tip, tip, tip. So when it comes to handwriting, many children have huge problems because they don't have enough of exercise on moving the hand? Who is the one putting the device in front of the child? Who is the one allowing the child to use it? Who is the one not putting physical activity in front of the child? It's upon us to do that. So it is necessary for the child to have movement, to have play, to have action and activities. In the development of the emotional body, the child needs interaction and engagement. In all of the countries, including India, the number of siblings goes down. That means that family cannot provide so much social awareness and training anymore. So most of the time children are taken outside in playgrounds to learn that. But still, both parents as well as educational institutions need to feel responsible to help the child to develop the emotional body. In the mental body is developed especially by problem solving and by challenges. This is what many mothers and fathers want to avoid nowadays. We call them the so-called helicopter parents. You might have heard about that. They try to avoid any kind of challenges, any kind of problems, but the mental body will not develop. So when you try to figure out a puzzle, which is complicated, your mental body is involved. If you have to find the solution, but if someone else gives you the solution, your mental body is almost not involved. So to involve the child in problem solving, in challenges, in solution finding is a very, very important task, either in toys or games as well as in situations which they may not be able to handle alone. The bodies, as you know, the energy fields, you know that, are interconnected. No body exists alone from each other. Yeah? So the physical body is interconnected with the mental body. So the more children move, the smarter they become. Because the mind will develop. With each movement we do, the mind will develop. There was a study done in Japan, and they saw that the brain region of the thumb was highly developed in 13-year-old children. You know why? You need it for all of these gadgets. Yeah, it was highly developed. So whenever you move a part of your body, a part of your brain gets developed. But surely we do not want to develop only the part of the thumb, isn't it? So if you want to create human beings who are able to live a successful, happy and peaceful life in this environment, it is very important that we engage them also in physical activities. The physical body and the emotional body are also very closely interconnected. You know that when you become scared, your breathing changes, your heart rate changes, your pulse changes, temperature changes, everything. So emotion influences the physical body. So if we don't train children on regulate their emotions, and they're not able to work with their anger, frustrations, their physical body will be highly affected. New studies say that it can be that this generation will die much earlier than the previous generation because their stress level is already very high at a very young age. We'll see, don't know if we are able to see that if we live long enough, but that is what might come to this new generation.